For everyone that wants Arteta out, you need to watch this video, as a star player of ours has defended him in the media ahead of an important tournament. What's going on, people? Urson here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going through all the insane talk that the Arteta routers have been spreading over the past few months about Ethan Nwaneri not getting enough game time and why he himself has put it all to bed. But guys, I need you to do me a massive favor. If you are watching this channel and you've yet to subscribe, like the 98%, join the 1.9% and hit the subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, guys. I need your help to get there. But yes, I hope you enjoyed the video. Ethan Nwaneri scored 9 goals for Arsenal this season, yet a lot of Arsenal fans have been calling out Arteta for not giving Nwaneri enough minutes. What has been going on? One of the most notorious Arsenal fans on the internet, Lee Gunner, claimed that Arteta should be sacked because Ethan Nwaneri's not been getting enough minutes. That the youngster should leave Arsenal for more game time.
Ethan and wary. Brother, I told you on a previous fan cam, I think it was after Bournemouth maybe, can't remember, or the first leg of PSG, whatever game it was. Yeah, I told you in that fan cam, and if you do watch, and bless up to you if you do, leave, mate.
Why would you want one of the most exciting players to leave your own team? That makes no sense to me, man. What, because he's not playing against PSG or Liverpool? For a bit of context, this was Lee Gunner's fan cam after the 2-2 draw against Liverpool, where Nwaneri was again an unused substitute for a 10-man Arsenal side, where Kieran Tierney and Calafiori had come on instead of the hottest prospect. And don't get me wrong, I want Nwaneri to get more minutes for Arsenal. I was gutted not to see him involved against PSG, against Bournemouth, against Liverpool, as Lee Gunner does say. But I'm never going to wish on a manager to be sacked just for a youngster to thrive. Nor would I want a youngster to leave Arsenal because a manager is not playing him.
We see his face, guys. We see his face in 4K. We need a goal. That's before Super Duper Mick Marino got sent off. Man did baby giraffe. Collapsed. Oh, but he was pushed. Bissaka was choked. Nobody cares, bro.
All right, Sean the Sheep.
We need a goal. It's Desmond 2-2 before Super Duper Mick Marino gets sent off. And what does this manager do? Oh yeah, reverts to type. After watching Liverpool bring on a triple sub, this guy is the most reactive, not proactive manager on the planet.
Lee Gunner's always been an interesting character. I do find him absolutely hilarious and entertaining to watch as an Arsenal fan. But I do think some of his takes are a bit one-sided and a bit over the top. For those that don't know, Ethan Nwaneri is involved for England at the under-21s Euros. He will play tomorrow. He is the youngest member of the squad. Lee Carsley has selected him. And he could have a very big tournament towards the end of his campaign before returning to pre-season. He has had an interview with The Athletic with Art de Roche. Credit to him. He's explained about what Arteta has taught him, his highlight of 24-25, and what his aims are for next season. And for those that are Arteta out, give this a proper read. One of the most invigorating subplots of Arsenal's 24-25 was the rise of Ethan Nwaneri in his breakout season. The midfielder made history on his Arsenal debut in September 2022, becoming the youngest Premier League player at 15 years and 181 days. For those that people want Arteta out. It was the Spaniard that gave him his debut in that 3-0 win over Brentford, where Fabio Vieira scored that belter. And yes, Fabio Vieira is currently on loan at FC Porto. He continued to impress last season, equaling John Radford's 62-year-old record for Arsenal goals before his 18th birthday. 8 goals. By the way, he scored 8 goals. Would Arteta... I'm just trying to be satirical here. I'm just having a laugh. Don't cry about it. Like, he continued to impress last season, equaling John Radford's 62-year-old record for Arsenal goals before an 18th birthday, becoming the youngest player to score in successive Champions League games and becoming the third youngest scorer in a Champions League knockout game behind Jude Bellingham and Boyan. For those that need a bit of context, he scored in a win against Girona and then scored in a 7-1 win over PSV. Surely that's a praise on Arteta for giving him the platform to do that. And the only reason why Nwaneri's not been given minutes is due to muscle injuries, as we'll go through later on in this article here. Art de Roche asked him for a standout moment from his breakout campaign, which Nwaneri says that goal against Man City. And like, to score against Man City is quite nice, and it's brilliant in what he says. It was the midfielder was determined to score, calling for the switch for 14 seconds before it came, and once the ball reached its feet, he had one thing in mind: to cut inside and bend it into the far corner. I knew I'd do something if I got the ball. Then Deck luckily saw me. You don't really think, you just do it. You think about it afterwards. Instinct, finesse, precision, iconic moment, Arsenal fans celebrating. Absolutely class. That finish comes from a young age, practicing in the park for ages. I've always been playing on the right more, so I've always been cutting in on my left foot. So I've been just a Nwaneri then says that the finish comes from a young age, practicing in the park for ages. I've always been playing on the right more, so I've always been cutting in on my left foot. So I've developed over the years. It's really just come from me naturally, which is brilliant. You know, and in the article it says like just do that naturally is just fantastic. To have that skill to cut inside, to bend it like Robin, to bend it like Messi. It's exciting for us Arsenal fans later on, as long as he avoids injuries, of course. And the fact that he's done this many a times, the fact that there's an article about this, showcasing his goals against Bolton, against Girona, Man City, is quite class. The article also says that he ended the season with 9 goals and 2 assists, and he notched another 7 for England's youth teams along the way. Yet later on in this article, he revealed what his target was, and it's quite impressive, and I love it about him. Now we go into the part where he talks about Mikel Arteta, and you Arteta outers need to look in. There's a lot to learn from Mikel. If you've ever met him, you'd see how intense he is, how he's so good with his words, and he knows what he's saying. He's elevated my game, definitely. There's so much, not even just tactically, but mentally too. See, it's not all just about giving him game time, playing him. Oh, he shouldn't be playing against. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Arteta has improved him. Yet there are fans out there that think he should be sacked. Like, look at it. Like, Arteta has been improving him this season. He's improved him mentally. It's not all about giving Nwaneri minutes. It's not what he's doing in terms of the mind, improving his mental health, improving his ability, his decision making, teaching him. You can't have it all at the age of 18. On a personal level, he's helped me a lot. He's really big on body language and the way he presents himself. He puts that onto me. A lot of other managers would neglect Nwaneri in this case. You know, wanting to prioritize Saka's development, defensive play, set pieces. But Nwaneri has revealed that Arteta is big on body language. You don't want to give his opponent an advantage. If you can read someone's body language as passive, tired, timid, they'll grow inspiration from that. They'll look at that and be like, "No, I'm gonna beat you." So for Arteta to instill that in a young man like Nwaneri, it's pretty good to see. Before, maybe the way I'd walk or slouch a bit, or just the way I'd be sitting, he's onto everything. That's helped me just sharpen up in my mind, and it's helped me a lot. And Arteta's always been big on mentality, right? Being ready for every important moment, and that's good to see. For what it's worth, Nwaneri is standing at attention during this interview. His shoulders are back, there's a smile on his face, and he is asserting what he's saying. There's also a sense of realism in the past season, did not just have a linear upward trajectory. They never do. He missed a few weeks in January with a muscle injury after his first Premier League starts, but also saw his minutes dwindle as the season drew to a close. You know, and going back to that Lee Gunner clip, he was angry at the fact that he wasn't getting minutes against Liverpool, against PSG, against Real Madrid. But one area has had muscle injuries. You don't want to be rushing him in. You don't want one area to become the next Reece Nelson, where he's on loan at Fulham and he can't even get game time and his progress is just plummeted down. You want Nwaneri's progress to skyrocket, like we've seen with Lewis Skelly, which they talk about in the article. Going from quite a lot to not playing as much is normal in football, he says. That's big. Like, Nwaneri's not taking it seriously. He's not moving like a 30-year-old that's in his prime, that's not getting minutes anymore. He's not having a fallout with the manager. He's being brave, yet very mature for an 18-year-old. I think that's very important to note. So I don't really take it to heart. I understand Mikel's got a decision to make at the end of the day, and it's hard for him to make. He obviously wants to include everyone, but he can't. I think it's part of the football, and those times that can really define where you're going to be. I think I've dealt with it well. I'm in a good place mentally and physically. I like this about Nwaneri. He's not taken what Arteta's done to him personally. He understands that to have a 20-year-old career playing football, you can't just have it all at the age of 18. You can't just play in 50 games season in, season out. And yes, Lamine Yamal's balled out for Spain, for Barcelona, and he's been playing week in, week out. And we know one area's got the capabilities to almost match that. But it's also to note, Nwaneri's had niggling injuries in January. So you don't want that to constantly happen. Reece Nelson is a perfect example of a player that was overplayed, that constantly had niggling injuries. He's now at Fulham, where they want to sign him, yet he's not played enough games because he's constantly injured with his hamstring. And it also goes on about Miles Lewis Skelly. This is a guy that played against Senegal yesterday, lost 3-1, that got constant pelters on social media. This is a player that struggled against PSG as we got knocked out of the tournament, that got criticised. He's come under fire a lot just for his attitude, for the way he puts himself on camera and to the media, to his teammates. Yet we want that from a player. You want a player to be confident. And in here, he talks about his relationship with Lewis Skelly, how they're polar opposites, yet they're very similar, and how their mindset is the same, but the way they show it is completely different. The pair made their first starts for the club together against Bolton Wanderers in the League Cup, with Lewis Skelly involved in the build-up to Nwaneri's first goal. Lewis Skelly made a lovely run, beating past a couple of Bolton players. He threaded a lovely pass into Raheem Sterling, who crossed it in for Nwaneri to score his first Arsenal goal. My relationship and friendship with Miles is so important. Nwaneri says, "We're so similar, but so opposite at the same time. We think the same way, but the way we might portray it to other people, he might seem more open and I might seem more closed off. Our friendship is special." Arteta has stressed the importance of viewing Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly as individuals rather than constantly comparing them to one another. And this is quite important when you look at the way Lewis Skelly is. Nwaneri is a lot more chilled out. He's a lot more calmer. He's a bit more reserved. Kind of like Emil Smith Rowe in the Arsenal documentary, whereas Saka, a lot more talkative, and Saka got a lot more first team minutes than Smith Rowe. And I think Arteta stresses that you got to be confident. You got to believe in yourself in 100%. Lewis Skelly has shown that, therefore has got more minutes. And Lewis Skelly has been stronger, he's had better fitness, he's avoided injuries, and featured as a left back in a position that Arsenal signed last season. And Calafiori has had niggling injuries, and Miles Lewis Skelly has stepped up. Bukayo Saka has had niggling injuries, was out for a few months. Nwaneri also stepped up. But then when Saka returned, Saka was putting him out of the picture as much. But maybe it's down to fitness issues, body language issues. As you've seen, that Arteta is very competitive on that. He wants that. Arsenal are also in talks with both players over fresh terms. Look, both players are going to want first team football next season. My aims for one area is to have like 50 appearances next season. I would love to see that. If he could get close to 4,000 minutes, that'd be brilliant. Getting starts, in a run of games in the Premier League, being a main man for the Carabao Cup games, in the FA Cup games, in some Champions League games, but also coming off the bench in some of the bigger games if we do face an Inter Milan, a PSG, that he can make an impact. And hopefully the under 21s tournament can raise the profile of him, that can give him the minutes that he needs without the high intensity that he's having to play against other sides, but he could still do the job on the football pitch. The article also talks about Nwaneri's time with the article also goes on about his time with the under 21s, which is very cool. How he's been playing more centrally for the national team, which I like to see. He talks about himself being a natural attacking midfielder, but wants to thrive in everywhere he plays, playing for Arsenal, which I like to see. You can read it here. I think if the manager wants you to play in a position, you have to do it to the best of your abilities. I don't mind playing there because anywhere for the Arsenal first team, I'll be happy playing and trying to do a good job for the team. I've played false nine before a few times actually, and I think I could do a role anywhere that the manager needs me. I want to play forward. I want to be a positive player, one who affects the game, who can control the game, who scores goals. I think that's just my game. There's loads of stuff that I can add to my game. I think defense, inside, my physical capacity. There's loads of stuff that I can get to work on my game. That's what I'm going to get to work on after we've hopefully won the tournament and joined pre-season. And that's the best quote I can read from one area is he wants to bulk up a bit. He wants to get physically strong. There was games where I watched him where people were just bodying him off the ball. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I think Nwaneri is a baller. He does need to bulk up a bit. He needs to remain fit, avoid niggling injuries, and then he could get 4,500 minutes for Arsenal. He could get those like 50 games next season. That would be fantastic. If he could get over 10 Premier League goals, that'd be fantastic as well. Because he's going to get a lot more minutes for Arsenal next season. I can see that as long as he avoids injuries. He does need to bulk up a bit so that he doesn't just go through games and that teams won't like we're gonna like with Nwaneri, teams are gonna double press him. It's not just gonna be him versus a left back. The centre mid will get involved. The left mid will get involved. And all of a sudden he's gonna be surrounded full of defenders where other players are gonna need to support him. He can't just rely on cutting inside and getting a shot of goal. He's gonna have to be a bit more creative, be a bit better defensively, work out the spaces, and also improve on everything else he's worked on. He is 18. I do think the fans have been harsh on Arteta, including Lee Gunner, where it's all do or die, but it's more because of the games itself. We know Nwaneri is a capable player, and we should see him in games like the quarterfinals of the Champions League, semi-finals of the Champions League, big games in the FA Cup, League Cup, and Premier League. So let me know what you think in the comments below. In a bit, people. In a bit. I'm out.